almost a damn robbery to make you pay for an education that you can't use. The education has been factored and put before the world. It is inferior teaching that leaves you still with it in an inferior position. I'll prove what I'm saying in just a moment. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to school, you shouldn't go to college. But what I am saying is, look at what you're studying. Don't waste your mother's money or your father's in a course that will not allow you to benefit your people or yourself. So, how did they have any connection to the Holy Land? You see, after they came back to Arabia, which is the Holy Land, after the process was completed, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that within 6 months, they had turned the Holy Land upside down because they were taught a system of tricks and lies that would divide the family. And it caused us to fight and kill one another because of the falsehoods that have been put between us. This is 6,000 years ago. Now let's see if it's practiced today. I was in Iraq. I visited Shiite and Muslim Sunni mosques. I visited Christian churches. I didn't visit the synagogue, but they were there. And nobody was bothering the next person. You never read about a bombing of a mosque, bombing of a church, until after who got there.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Talk to me. If it didn't happen under Saddam Hussein, and he was the tyrant, what happened now that there's killing between Shiite and Sunni? An enemy came in among you. They love to keep us at war with each other. But the architecture of white supremacy is to be exposed and destroyed. Moses had a hard job to civilize the Caucasian from the hills and cave sides of Europe. He did have another assignment after he got them up in Egypt, but not with them. You know, our lessons teach us that we rounded up all that we could find. And stripped from them everything except the language and drove them into the caves of Europe, across the burning sand.
Yes, sir.
So today, you want to join AKA or Delta, Sigma, Omega, Alpha? You got to do what? Cross what? Burning sand. Where did that come from? You want to become a mason, a shriner, but you got to cross the burning sands. Where did it come from? It came from your ancestors, driving them out of the Holy Land into the hills and cave sides of Europe. But then the scripture says, the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. Well, how did fair get in there when all that area was black? Talk to me tonight. There were no white people in Palestine, in Saudi Arabia, in Iraq. All of that was black people, the original people. But race mixing began.
Yes, sir.
And then the blacks were moved out.
That's right. That's right.
When I was in Palestine, or what you call Israel today, as a guest of our Hebrew Israelite brothers in Dimona, some of their scholars took me to Jerusalem, and we went down to Jericho, and I saw a man riding on a donkey. He was very, very black. I could not speak his language, but our Hebrew Israelite brothers spoke to him in Hebrew. And I asked the brother, ask him, how long has he been here on this land? He said, as far back as he can remember, he and his fathers and their fathers before them, they have always been on that land. Saudi Arabia, Saud, comes from the word Aswad, which means Black Arabia. How did it get white? Egypt, cradle of civilization. Southern Egypt is where Cairo is. Northern Egypt is south, because it follows the Nile River, which starts in Uganda and flows north. So everything at the north end of it is called, that's called Upper Egypt. Now look, all of that was black. You go to Egypt, and some of you have been there, in that majestic desert. You see the Sphinx. You see a lion's body and the head of a black man on a lion's body. Now, some of them will tell you, no, we did that under slavery. Well, tell them that Farrakhan said, do it again. Because if you can't do it now, and you can't, you didn't do it then. This was a wise show of the great wisdom of our ancient fathers. Two things cannot rule at the same time. So when the new man came, which is the Caucasian, the black man had to go to sleep in order for the new man to rule.
That's right. That's right.
So when race mixing began, all these light-skinned ones, you know how it began here, don't you? All us light-skinned ones. And then when you take the light one and he hates black and he marries another light one, then you get lighter ones. And before you know it, the lighter ones look nearly white. And then they tell you they better than the blacker ones, out of which all of them came. Now, if you're not teaching this in school, if you're not showing black people that they are the mother and the father of every human being on the earth, of every race on the earth, of every kindred, every tongue, and every nation, if you are not teaching this, then you're following the line of white supremacy and keeping your children ignorant that they can be used as a tool and a slave by the architects of white supremacy.